It's a dream come true for foodies and beer lovers here in West Michigan. Today, a 2-week-long event, Cool Brews Hot Eats, is kicking off at 57 restaurants around the area. Chefs have been hard at work coming up with dishes that use beer as an ingredient or pairing their creations with different beers for you to try. And 24-Hour News 8's Tom Hillen is live at Cottage Bar in downtown Grand Rapids right now with what you need to know to take part. Hey, Tom.
Well, good morning to you, Brett. Yes, this is the first time that Cool Brews Hot Eats is going to be happening here in Grand Rapids, and you listed we're actually about at 60 restaurants now. More of them keep adding. We are at the Cottage Bar right now. I want to give you an example of what you'll experience if you come to try out Cool Brew Hot Eats. These are two different dishes that have been prepared exclusively for this event. They are now on the menu here, but you have a beef stroganoff here that's been paired with an oatmeal stout from New Holland Brewery, and then you also have a beer brought over here that has been prepared in Bell's Stout, and it's served on a pretzel bun. So this is an example of what these restaurants are really doing to showcase two things that have really put Grand Rapids on the map, and that's good food and good beer. So here's how it works. Each restaurant that is participating has either come up with a dish where they use a beer as an ingredient, or they have paired their special dish with a Michigan-made beer for you. So example of what we just saw here at the Cottage Bar, that's what these restaurants all over West Michigan are doing. Now, there's no set price for anything. Each restaurant really prices out their own meals. So it's a little bit different from Restaurant Week, where we have a set price on things. This is the kind where you just show up and you can actually check out all the menus online, so you can really figure out what you want to see. But right now, like as I said, we're closer now to actually 60 restaurants taking part in that. They're mostly in and around the downtown area, but there are some on the outer areas too, so you can check that out. It's going to start today and run through March 2nd. And it's another way that Grand Rapids is celebrating its title as Beer City USA. Now, you can go to our website, woodtv.com. We put a link on there to Experience Grand Rapids, which has every restaurant listed out for you and exactly what they are doing to celebrate Cool Brews Hot Eats. Live in Grand Rapids, Tom Hillen, 24-Hour News 8.
Welcome back to 616 right now. It is a dream come true for foodies and beer lovers here in West Michigan. Today, a 2-week-long event, Cool Brews Hot Eats, kicking off at 57 restaurants all across the area.
Chefs have been working to come up with dishes that use beer as an ingredient or pairing their creations with different beers. 24-Hour News 8's Tom Hillen is live at One Trick Pony in downtown Grand Rapids, talking with the executive chef there. Good morning, Tom.
Well, good morning, Brett and Emily. Absolutely. This is the very first year for this Cool Brew Hot Eats. It's really highlighting two things that is really starting to put Grand Rapids on the map, and that is good food and good local beer. I want to kind of tell you what you need to know to get involved. It is kicking off today, and it will run for 2 whole weeks. And there are now nearly 60 restaurants participating. Experience Grand Rapids tells me they just had so much interest, restaurants keep adding on. So basically what you are able to do is go to these restaurants, and as you said, they've either made a dish with beer as an ingredient or paired that dish for you with a Michigan brewed beer for you to enjoy. Now, pricing ranges, but you can look all of that up ahead of time. We posted a link for you at woodtv.com. And this morning we are joined by the executive chef here at One Trick Pony, and he's actually made us an exclusive daybreak frittata. So kind of tell me what you've done. Tell me what is a frittata and what goes into it.
Frittata is just a really easy omelet actually to make at home, and we're actually going to run something separate for the actual event this week, but I figured it was breakfast time, so we'll do something kind of cool for everybody. Kind of get started here. We'll start with a little bit of butter here on the stove, and really we will get your oven preheated to about 450 degrees to get going. Scramble some eggs. About a dozen eggs in here. So, and again, this is super easy if you have a bunch of people at your house over for an event or just to be around. It's really easy for them. And it sounds kind of impressive for potting, you know, even though it's really not that hard. It's kind of one of those cool cook tricks.
So what do we eventually end up with? I know we kind of...
Eventually we're going to end up with, really, it's going to be more like an omelet or like a quiche without the crust.
Okay.
And I'll show you what we're going to end up with here in just a couple of minutes. So basically you've got your batter here, your eggs, your cheese, a little bit of heavy cream, salt, pepper, bacon. And we'll just go into a relatively large amount of cooking fat. And then basically what you'll do is you'll just scramble these until it looks like they're about halfway done.
Okay.
All right? That actually takes a couple minutes, and so for our purposes, we'll just call it a day. Then you'll throw it in the oven for about 15 minutes or so. And when it comes out, it's going to look just like a quiche, golden brown on the top. It's going to set. Let it sit for about 5 minutes, then turn it out of the pan. You can cut it. And it's going to come out round, and you can cut it into pieces like that. All right? And what we'll do, since we are doing beer, and one thing I think that's kind of interesting about beer, sometimes alcohol in general, is not a bad thing in the morning as long as you're not drinking a whole lot of it. I know when I was traveling through Germany, sometimes I would stop at a gas station to grab gas in the early morning, and there'd be old gentlemen hanging out there drinking beer, no problem. So what we're going to do is make a vinaigrette out of beer that's going to be tossed with just a couple of greens. This actually has a little bit of a high fat content in it. So what we wanted to do is make like an acidic vinaigrette. The beer is going to help with that, just to kind of cut through some of that and clean the palate as well.
Okay, so, excellent. They're giving me a wrap here, but so you can pretty much mix beer with a lot of different ingredients.
You can mix beer with the ingredients. There'll be some mustard, some beer, a little olive oil, make a quick vinaigrette, put that on your plate, you're good to go.
All right, Drew Turnipseed, the executive chef here at One Trick Pony, want to thank you very much for your time this morning. Now we are going to be posting the recipe for this frittata online at woodtv.com as well. Live in Grand Rapids, Tom Hillen, 24-hour News 8.
Tom, please bring that back for us.
It is delicious. Let me tell you, it smells fantastic in here this morning. Last week was punchkis. This week it's frittata. I'll try to bring some back.
Let's bring it back. All right.
Is that kitchen inside a jet engine, by the way?
Thank
Loud
you,
enough.
Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
6:50 right now. The first ever Cool Brews Hot Eats kicks off at 57 West Michigan restaurants today.
The two-week event features special dishes prepared by local chefs that have either used beer in the recipe or paired their dish with a Michigan beer. And 24-hour News 8's Tom Hillen's live at One Trick Pony right now with what it takes to pull off a major event like this. Hey, Tom.
Well, good morning, Brett and Emily. This is the first year really for the Cool Brews Hot Eats, and they're actually up to now nearly 60 restaurants. A lot of people getting more interested, calling to add, so there's going to be even a few additions onto their website soon. And we're joined this morning with Janet Korn from Experience Grand Rapids, and you guys are really the ones that are big behind this. You've kind of thrown this together. What does it take to pull off something like this?
Well, lots of energy and lots of communication, but our idea behind this was really to bring culinary tourism together with the craft beer tourism, and to invite the restaurants and their chefs to prepare and cook with beer.
Now, what am I going to experience when I go to one of these restaurants? I mean, they're all different, right?
Absolutely. Every restaurant was just asked to cook or prepare their food with beer, and so all really whatever the chefs at those particular restaurants decided to create. So you can experience foods, everything from appetizers to entrees to salads and even desserts that are prepared with beer.
Now, a lot of people might compare this to Restaurant Week, which became hugely popular. How is it? But it's different. Talk to us about the differences.
Yeah, it's different. The format for Restaurant Week is a 3-course dinner for $25, and this time we decided to just let the chefs create things and really kind of keep them within their own restaurant's price points. So all we did was ask that they, pair up the food with beer. So really, that's where there's all this variety this time.
And what does this do for a city like Grand Rapids to have all these restaurants come together and really, I mean, not only are they promoting themselves, but they also are promoting Michigan brewed beers. How big is that just ripple effect that we have?
Well, that's really what our energy was a way of bringing together culinary tourism and beer tourism so that we can really elevate the awareness of our local community and then hence inform other people throughout the state and really throughout the country about Grand Rapids, celebrate Beer City USA, and really celebrate the quality culinary cuisine that we have here in our community.
All right, Janet Korn with Experience Grand Rapids, I want to thank you for your time. Again, it starts today and it's going to run for a full 2 weeks. Every single restaurant that is participating is online with what they are serving. We have a link for you online right now at woodtv.com. Live at One Trick Pony, Tom Hillen, 24-hour News 8.